Alright, this is a new knife build for a friend of mine. He's wanted this knife for a long time, and he's recently he's going to be getting married soon, and he had to put it off because of the wedding, and he was kind of bummed out about that. And it was kind of a neat story. His fiance contacted me and said that she wanted to go ahead and have me continue on with the build, and that she was going to pay for it and surprise him with it at the wedding. So obviously this video won't be published until after they're married, but I kind of wanted to go through start to finish as much as I can without making this terribly long, just to kind of show the process of where it started and where it's going to end up. And this is just a rough sketch. I adjust and do all kinds of crazy stuff as I'm going along, and sometimes I screw up and have to start over, but basically this is a long bar of 1095 steel, and I just get a marker out and start drawing. And I'm getting ready to cut it. Got to put a new wheel on there. Getting ready to cut it, drill it out, grind it to the shape that's drawn, and start sanding with the belt sander. So I'll try to update as much as I can as I go along. Hope you like it, Brent. Okay, here's a small update. Just put some jimping back where the thumb goes, this little triangle file, and I'm getting ready to do the saw, which is the most labor intensive part of this whole process because it's all done with this. You can see the little maybe kind of crappy quality. Let me get it up. You might be able to see I got one mark started, and probably give it like 8 teeth maybe. I don't know, it's a lot of work, but that's just kind of a little bit of a grip for your thumb, like if you're pushing forward on something, that way you don't slip. Looks kind of neat too. But this is, this is truly handmade. That's why it's taken so long. But, there's the general shape. I'll probably modify it a little bit, especially that piece right there. It's not exactly a neat little half round. But a couple of things didn't go quite the way I wanted to, but most of it is just kind of roll with the punches when it comes to this kind of thing. People sometimes give me exact dimensions, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't do that, because it's too hard to do it when you're doing it all by hand. At least for me. I'm not a professional. But here's an update. Working on the saw. One tooth down, and that's just the notch. There's a lot more to it than that. Still sitting here filing. Little triangle file. Here's the idea. I've made those cuts to make teeth, but now I have to cut at a diagonal, skipping teeth each time, and then on this side. Now I'm going to file on the teeth that I skipped. I'm going to file this way, so the teeth are kind of alternating. With this thick piece of steel, it's not going to cut very well, but if you needed to make a notch for a tent peg, or if you really had to, you could cut through some wood with it. It's just going to be a lot more work. That's 3/16 thick steel that it's going to cut through. But there's the progress. Alright, welcome back to the knife build. Brent, it's your knife. I'm at the one of the critical stages. Pretty much everything after it's been hardened and tempered, which is why you see the colors here. It was pretty much in the forge, you know, from where my thumb is towards the blade. So you can see the line, the colors, heat colors and whatnot in it. But it's been hardened and tempered. The bevels have been ground. And now I'm in there's two critical things here, where you want the bevels to try to be as even as possible. I'm not a machine, so I can't make it perfect. And I tell you what, the hardest thing about this knife build is that little piece right there. Since it is higher than where the draw knife section is, it's incredibly hard when you're working on a flat surface like this to not grind too much away out of that point. And I've just about got it. I'm going to be putting a secondary bevel on this, so I don't want to take that down to a fine edge for strength, because I know you're going to be chopping and hacking and doing all kinds of stuff with it, splitting wood. So a fine edge would be more delicate than a secondary bevel. Now it'll still be very sharp, but it won't be, you know, like a Mora. If you know what a Mora is, Mora Sharp, Swedish knife. They're awesome, really cheap. But anyway, here we are. You got the saw back, and then the I guess that's a place when you have it in the secondary grip, place for your thumb to do some smaller work. And then the jimping on the back for traction when you're holding it in the primary grip. But yeah, it's, you know, it's got a little rust left on it, and it's been sitting out here in the shed for a few days after I hardened it and tempered it. But now comes the very labor-intensive portion of hand sanding. So I'll get back with you. Oh, right. Here's the wood. I've just got two of the scales cut and pinned together. It's going to be brass pins, brass lanyard. Just the solid red and black, where I get this stuff from, was completely out of stock. But they did have like a natural color, and then black, red, natural, so on and so forth. So you'll still get the black and red, but it's going to have a little bit of natural in it too. So hopefully that's okay with you. I know it's going to look great. It's not exactly what you'd wanted, and I apologize that I can't deliver on that, but I'm telling you, it's going to look great. So I'll get back with you after the sanding. Alright, here's another crucial step. I've sanded it most of the way. It's going to have a patina on it to help protect it from rust, so it doesn't have to be like mirror polished or anything. And this 1095 steel it's an incredibly strong and tough steel, but man, it rusts. So even if you're really good about keeping oil on them, most of my knives that I take camping with me on a regular basis have rust on them. That's just part of that's the downfall of carbon steel, but in my opinion it's still miles ahead of stainless. But I've got it sharpened with the belt sander. I haven't touched it with stones yet, but the test now is to hit it against the grain on some wood to make sure that the edge is going to stay. And I don't see any rolling. No, I don't see any rolling at all, which is good, because if there were rolling of the edge, then 3 days of work would have been for nothing, and I would have had to start over. So that's good. It's good to know I still know how to do my job. Alright, we're getting into the final stages of the build here. Got the knife. The only thing left to do is put the final sharpening, the razor, where, you know, enough to shave your hair, slice paper, and I got to put a patina on the steel, make a leather sheath. But this is kind of like my one of my favorite parts, where it's almost done and the wood's nice and polished up. But here's a picture. That light overhead's not really helping, but looking pretty good. I hope you like it. The still pictures are really gonna make it look good, because I started out with 80 grit, 120 grit, 240 grit, 320, 400, 600, 800, 900, 1200, 1500 grit, all hand sanded. So the wood really, you can't see it because of this light, but it really has a shine to it. And I haven't put any kind of oil or anything on it yet. It's just from the sandpaper makes it kind of pop like that. But it's a big knife. I got fairly large hands. You know, it's not as heavy as some of my other ones, but it will definitely chop some wood, split, pretty much whatever you want to do with it. So I'll get it finished and get another video. Alright, here's the finished result. I know I kind of left you in the dark on some of this process here. When I get focused on doing this stuff, I forget that I'm trying to take video of the process too. Leather, yeah, I know, buddy. Leather sheath, 2 pieces cut, sewn, well actually 3 pieces because the belt loop's sewn on separate. Yeah, you're gonna be famous in the video, Joseph. The leather, I wet it, and I put the knife in it, and sit there and kind of knead it with my hands over and over and over again. And it actually, you can see it. It kind of takes the shape of the blade inside of it, gives it a form fit. And then after that's done and it dries out, I get a tub of wax here, liquid. Joseph, Daddy's trying to take a video. Alright, thank you. And then get the leather hot enough for the pores to open, and then dip it through the wax. And the wax does several things. It helps protect the leather, but it also hardens it. And so it's going to hold that shape. I mean, you can still crush it with your fingers, and if you really squeeze it, you'll lose the form. But it will hold the form of the knife. Here is the knife finished. It's 1095 steel, 3/16 thickness, red, black, and natural diamond wood handles. It's got a little bit of a contour to fit your hand there, kind of an hourglass shape in the middle, which also brings out some of the colors. It's got 3/16 brass pins, a hollow brass lanyard pin, jimping for the thumb, grip, the saw back. Get it to focus here. It's not really wanting to focus. That's the etch. Yeah, that's really not focusing. Anyway, that says Stolberg Knives on that side. And on this side it says SK037. This is number 37. It's got a patina applied to it to help protect from rust. It's got a healthy coat of gun oil on it right now, just for the shipping, because it's going to be in the leather sheath, and since the leather sheath still kind of new, it may have a little moisture in it. So if you do get a little bit of surface rust when you get it, it's kind of expected, honestly, but hopefully this healthy coating of gun oil will help prevent that. I recommend keeping it nice and dry and clean and oiled when you're using it, and oiled when you're not using it, actually. And it should last you a lifetime. if well cared for. If you do have any problems whatsoever, you know how to get a hold of me. Of course, you'll have to pay to ship it out to me, but I'd be more than happy to repair it for you if anything happens to it. If you have catastrophic failure when you were using it and you didn't think it was necessary to have catastrophic failure, I know you well enough that I trust you. I will remake it for you. But I will go ahead and say in this video, this is probably the last Tom Brown tracker I'm ever going to make. They're just really hard to make, and they're really hard to sharpen. I did get it pretty sharp though. Especially on the curve up here, it'll shave the hair off your arm. The draw knife section will too, but the polishing stone that I use is actually wider than that little section, so it's not perfect. But should be a great woods knife. Should last you a lifetime. So I hope you enjoyed watching the build. Sorry I left you out on the leather and some of the other processes, but congratulations on your marriage, and I wish you both well. Thanks, guys.